Hello, future business leaders of America. FBLA, how are you? I am thinking of you. I am wondering how you have loved your Washington State conference and how you have really enjoyed this online learning. You know, I got to thinking one of the benefits of this for you is that you have so many workshops and new education and tips and ideas to serve you well right now and as you go beyond. And how exciting is that? It's all recorded. Now, that said, I want to introduce myself. I am Kim Peterson. I'm the owner of Uniquely Savvy, and what an honor to be back with you all this year. A couple of years ago, we were at the Bellevue Hyatt, and it was so lovely to be with all of you, engaged and excited and participatory. Our conversation back then was around how to own your unique genius, your unique brilliance, to be comfortable and confident in your own skin as a leader, and how you can build an authentic personal brand to help you show up and lead in a clear, focused, and empowered way. And what I know to be true is that today we're going to be talking about how to build resilience so that you can feel empowered and confident now and in the future as we come on the other side of this season of a global pandemic. Now, I just wanted to pause for a moment and just acknowledge that that's why we are having a recorded session here today instead of live, because our reality is that we are all staying home. We're all sheltering in. And I want to acknowledge that we are all experiencing this in very different ways. We have different levels of emotion. We have different layers of reality. We have different things for which we get to celebrate. There are still celebration and good things that are happening. And there is the reality that there are some challenging things that we are all collectively going through, and that individually looks different. It looks different for everybody. But that said, I want to say that I am hopeful, and I know that we are a strong people, and I know that with honesty and with empathy and with compassion and with pulling out all of our skills and all of our tools that we have learned, that you are learning and that you have invested in for yourself as future business leaders of America, we are going to get through this. We will get through this. And so what I know to be true is today I want to really equip you. I want to equip you with some tools and some education that you can move into action right now. And so that you can also feel empowered and confident in the future. So this is about how to build resilience for an empowered and confident future. Now, there are just 5 things I want to share today. This really could be a whole half-day workshop that I'm excited to share. But today I'm going to offer you perhaps maybe the top 5 things. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about resilience. And resilience, by definition, is the capacity to come back after a setback. Resilience is the capacity to come back after a setback. And we can do that. And one of the things that is so important is to build your resiliency muscles right now so that you feel empowered right now, and you also will feel empowered and confident about the future ahead, because we do have a bright future ahead, but we have to We have to position ourselves with the right mindset and with the right skills and the right attitude in order to be able to perceive that, and then in order to be able to walk toward that. So number one, in terms of building resiliency, again, building that capacity to come back strong and empowered and effective. Number one, have an attitude of gratitude. Have an attitude of gratitude. And why do I say this? It is true that we have some challenges around us, but having an attitude of gratitude actually improves your mood, it improves your health and wellness, and it improves your outlook. What we know to be true is that research indicates that having an attitude of gratitude and being thankful and expressing thanks actually produces a positive hormone in your body called oxytocin. And that is a hormone that actually provides and produces those feelings, if you will, of happiness as well. So what I want to say as an action step is look for something every day for which you can be grateful. At least one thing for which you can be grateful. Because when you can do that, yes, it will increase your immune system and it will increase your perspective, but it will also help you to see that even though there are challenging things going on around you, there is still room for gratitude and celebration. Number two is refer back to your prior successes. Why? Because when you refer back to your prior successes, you remember, I can do this. You remember that I overcame that challenge and that setback. You remember that, okay, this doesn't feel good now, but I can get through it, and there is a brighter future ahead. So you want to look back to prior successes. So the action item I want for you to do now is you can think about even this year or in this last school year or at any time, what is a challenge that you had, that you faced, that was really difficult, but that you overcame? And how did you do that? And part of the way you can build this resilience is to draw back on the strength of that and to draw back on the action items of that and bring those action items forward to today. Number three, set goals. Setting goals helps you feel a sense of personal empowerment. Why? Because you actually are making choices to look forward into your future and to plan something in advance of where you're at right now. You see, when we look forward into the future, it helps us to gain a broader perspective that yes, while we still are in the midst of some struggle and some change right now, there are things for which I can choose to plan to look forward to, and it brings your whole mindset and your whole focus forward. Because if you set goals, there are action steps that you need to take to achieve those goals, right? You have to move into action. You have to challenge limiting beliefs, and you have to take small steps forward in order to get to where you go. So setting goals is a very empowering activity to help build resilience, because one thing it does for sure is it builds that resiliency in your mindset and in your thinking. So an action item, what do you want to accomplish right now? Perhaps there's something that you've been wanting to do throughout this whole conference and you've kind of put it to the back burner. Or perhaps there's a new class that you want to take online, and maybe you want to start that class tomorrow. Or maybe you want to set a goal for next month or next quarter. But I want you to think about what is an activity or something that you want to achieve that you're willing to set a future goal for. Again, that can be as early as tomorrow. but I want you to set a goal for yourself. Set a goal for yourself. Now, I also want to give you a bonus idea around this. If for whatever reason, right, because let me say that we are in a time where we're going to have to be agile. We're going to have to pivot. We're going to have to make mid-course corrections. It's just the nature of the season that we're in currently. So let's say you set a goal that you're going to take a class and the class doesn't start for 1 more month out. And for whatever reason, let's say you come upon that class and it's not offered. Or maybe perhaps the class was an outdoor class and we're not yet to the place where we're invited to go back outside for that kind of activity. Well, then just know this, that you will need to pivot. You will need to be agile in your thinking and agile in your choices to reschedule that, or also to say, it's okay, right? It's okay. What can I learn from this, right? Sometimes we set a goal and we don't achieve it. Or sometimes we set a goal and, life happens and it happens outside of our control. Sometimes we have the idea that somehow we failed. Shoot, I just couldn't do it. Or I'm a failure. This is exactly why I don't set goals. That's faulty thinking. I want you to look at it this way. If you don't achieve the goal, then don't think of it as a failure, because it's not. But what that will provide for you is feedback. It will provide for you feedback for what you need to do differently. You can ask yourself, what might I need to add, change, modify, or create differently in order to achieve the goal that I set out for myself? Without this feedback, I think failure, if you will, or perceived failure, I think that is such a resource, because if we hadn't had missed the mark, if we didn't miss the mark, then we wouldn't have that feedback. Where else would we get that knowledge? But what we can do is we can take that knowledge and we can apply it to future decisions. And by the way, that's what we call wisdom. Wisdom is applied knowledge. Okay, the next goal is about self-care. It is so important to be an advocate for your overall health and wellness. And that includes your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health. So this all falls under the umbrella of self-care. Why is it important? For lots of reasons. Folks, if we don't take care of ourselves, then what do we have to give to others? And you are a leader now, and you are a future business leader of America. And so what that means is this is your gift and it's your opportunity to practice being an advocate for you through self-care. Okay? Mind, body, and soul. So let's talk about what that could look like. You've heard the analogy with airlines and the flight attendants. They say, put on your oxygen mask first before you put on the oxygen mask of another. And that's so that you can breathe. You are equipped for what you need to be your best self in that moment. And when you're equipped in that way, then you have what you need to turn around and be that for somebody else. Okay? We know that, if we look at this as mind, body, and soul, self-care, I just want to tell you right now, especially with all the range of emotions. Some of you might be experiencing grief or anger or frustration, disappointment. I've experienced that myself. And so in that moment, so oftentimes we'll stuff things down and we won't be honest with how we're feeling because we just want it to go away. Self-care looks like being honest with yourself. How are you feeling? What is your body telling you? What's really going on? And then when you have that information, you can ask yourself this very important question: what do I need right now? What do I need right now? Because oftentimes when you meet that need, then that is a stabilizer. It's a neutralizer, and it allows you to come back to center into a way that you can move forward with your next steps, either for yourself or for others. So for example, sometimes when I ask myself that question, I need food. I have low blood sugar. I need food and I need it now. Other times I need to have a conversation with somebody. I might be feeling lonely, and so it's what I need is some connectivity and some engagement. So I might pick up the phone. Sometimes and often I need a nap. It's true, because my focus might be waning, and when my focus is waning, it's usually connected to my energy. And when my energy is low, instead of, ramping up on more coffee, I have learned to allow myself to take a 15-minute nap. And that gives me what I need to come back refreshed. I'm more productive. I feel like I've taken good care of myself, and I can take next steps forward for an empowered and confident future, even if that future is in 5 minutes out from now. Okay? Self-care is a beautiful thing. Think about your exercise as well. Movement is amazing, whether you're just kind of stuck in a rut, or if you're lacking creativity and you need creativity, just get up and move your body. If you can, go out for a 5-minute walk, or just walk in place, or turn on the music. I'm gonna do this soon. Turn on the music and just dance. Find whatever kind of movement you enjoy and do that. Movement produces endorphins again, and we can use those hormones to our benefit. We want to use everything that we've learned in our personal development to our benefit. So use those endorphins, use those hormone of oxytocin, use communication skills, use self-care, use resiliency skills, use your wardrobe, use everything you can to support you to be your best self right now. So self-care. Action item for you might be a real easy one. I'm just going to make this really simple, is that after you get off this conversation with me, ask yourself, what do I need right now? What do I need right now to be an advocate for myself and to be an advocate for my mental, physical, and spiritual well-being? What do I need right now? And then respond accordingly. And lastly, number 5, a great way to build resilience and to feel a sense of having the capacity to move forward is to also help other people. Help other people. For one, it builds resiliency in your mindset and in your thinking, because there's not 100% focus on you or challenges or whatnot. You're able to look around, you're able to see the invisible. There are people who could use a smile on the street. Maybe there's a classmate who is feeling really lonely. You can pick up the phone or send a text or have a video chat. Perhaps you and your family, someone in your family could do a little grocery shopping if need be for your elderly neighbor who isn't able to get out to go to the stores. Who knows? But what I do know is, even from my own personal experience in the past, I went through a real season of a challenge and a setback and of feeling anxious and feeling depressed and really, really struggling with those things. And I learned, my therapist, I think, said, why don't you find something to do to volunteer? And there's something magical about volunteering. It helps the other person. It helps meet the need of another person or an organization, but it also helps to elevate you in an interesting kind of way. And once it's going to also be tied back to that positive hormone of oxytocin. And when oxytocin is released and perhaps endorphins are released, it's going to shift the whole way that your body physiologically is engaging, and it's also going to change your perspective. So help others. Action item. Think about sometime over the next 24 hours, what is one way that I could be of service to somebody else? And again, it doesn't have to be big. It could be a smile, it could be a phone call. It could be, hey, you all are in FBLA and everything has had to go virtual, and your mentors and your leaders and your teachers are shifting. They're shifting all the time. You might reach out to them and say, hey, I got to thinking, is there anything I can do to be of support to you? Is there anything I can do to take off your plate? I bet you they'd love that. So those are 5 quick tips of how you can build resilience to empower you for now and to empower you for a confident future. I do want to say this, it's super important that when we're talking about resilience, we're talking about mental health and emotional health as well. Sometimes it's great to talk to a friend or a teacher or a mentor, and other times it's really important that we reach out to a trained professional. Maybe that's a therapist, and there's no shame around that. And I also want to encourage you to know that if you or someone you know is in a situation where you need somebody right now, I want to give you the suicide prevention hotline number, and I want to encourage you to call that. It's 1-800-273-8255. Again, it's 1-800-273-8255. And I would encourage you to call to have conversation, to get support. Whatever it is that you need, you call them, because there are people there who are willing to walk you through what's on your mind. And what I know to be true, folks, is it's a real joy to be here. I love working with students who are investing in themselves to be their best selves in the future, and not just for themselves, but to be leaders, to be visionaries, to be equippers and educators of other folks around them who are in your care. So it's a great honor for me to be here. I thank you so much. And I will say that, again, we will get through this time, and with, 2020, how about that? 2020 vision. We're in the year 2020. So may we have eyes that see, may we have ears that hear, and may we have courage to build our resilience muscles so that we can step forward in a most empowered and confident way, both for now and the future. My name is Kim Peterson, and I am championing your confident breakthroughs on the inside and out. And I look forward to connecting with you all again. Bye for now.